Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective, where you get a little bit of something and a whole lot of everything. Happy Tuesday. We're at Tuesday, and lots. Just sorry, I'm a little late. For those who come on live, I was tending to a friend who's just got a lot going on right now. Just family stuff, and it's difficult, especially when we get older, right? But yeah, so I'm just going to wait for a few people to come on. But, yeah, it's kind of funny the way things work, right? You just kind of, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. Sometimes the world just upends you and you don't know what else to do or where else to go, and just kind of like, because you got to take care of it, right? So anyways, I'm doing The Universe Has Your Back today. And good morning, Muddy. So I thought, I know it's Tuesday and it's not even close to being a self-care day. But, well, I mean, it could be. Any day could be self-care. I know usually Wednesday is self-care Wednesday, but I've kind of changed that up. I've tried to move away from having a set format, just because, for a while I think it was getting a little monotonous. But today, there's just a lot circling right now, right? And it just, I know there's so much going on in personal lives, in the world, that I thought, why don't we just start this a little bit different? Now, I don't want to lose anybody because, like I said, we are going to do The Universe Has Your Back, and we're going to talk about a subject. I don't know what it is yet. I haven't looked. But I thought, you know what? The world could use a big hug right now, okay? The world could really use a big hug right now. So I was just thinking, why don't we just, take a deep breath? Just, 4 in, okay? Hold it. Exhale. And then on the next breath, when we exhale, let's just exhale some positive energy into this world. Okay? And then while you're exhaling, you know what? We're going to do 3 breaths. 3, not 2, 3. The next one, what I want you to do is inhale all the good stuff, all right? And this doesn't mean on the third one we're going to get rid of it. This is for you. And then exhale all the bullshit, all right? So inhale, we'll just do it to 4. Hold it. Exhale all that crap. Just let it all go. I know it's not going to go away forever, but in this moment, just let it all go. All right, send it to the ethers, send it to whatever. Just send it away from you. All right, and kind of find your center again. And on this last one, just breathe in. And when you exhale like you are hugging the world. That you are putting this excellent, amazing vibe out into the world, okay? Whether you pray, you don't pray, whether you just send good vibes or good juju, whatever it is that you do, however, wherever you turn your faith to, just put that out into the world, because a lot of people could use a really big hug right now, and Mother Earth certainly could. So we'll breathe in to 4, hold it, and exhale. Okay. Good morning, older sibling. So I know that might have seemed a little weird to some people, but honestly, breathing exercises can help regulate the nervous system. I know Muddy meditates every day, which is awesome, and I just really need to learn how to sit still long enough to meditate. But I get fidgety, and it's probably because my nervous system is so out of whack. It's not even funny, but I know that we all can do this, and every so often when the world feels overwhelming, you can do the breathing. I usually say breathe in to the count of 4, exhale to the count of 6. All right, because you want to just let it all out. Just clear out your whole diaphragm. Is it your diaphragm? Sorry, my biology is a little off today. But yeah, we need to put better vibes out into this world. And like I said, there's a lot of people hurting. There's a lot of people going through stuff that we don't know about, and that are just, they're struggling. They're struggling. Even the strongest people struggle, okay? And sometimes the strongest people who are there for us, we need to be there for them in any capacity, even if it's just an ear, okay? Or somewhere they can vent. So, because it can get overwhelming, and you don't want people to get to the point where they just become, again, like the old me, where you get to Mount Shelsuvius and it's like poof, you know, and yeah, and then everybody gets hit by your angst. So, all right, happy Tuesday. Happy Tuesday, we are here. And again, like I said, the universe has your back. The universe does have your back. Even when it doesn't feel like the universe has your back, the universe has your back. The other reason I wanted to do the breathing exercises is I'm a firm believer, having had my own experiences, that what you put out there is what you're going to get back, intentional or not. Whether you mean to or you don't mean to, it happens. And you don't want to put the bad shit out there, all right? Because when you put the bad shit out there, shit hits the fan and comes right back at you, right? So you don't want to do that, even if it's small stuff. You know, like this is the one example I always give. You wake up, you're feeling great, you get out of bed, you stub your toe, and you're like, fudge, really? And then, you know, but you're like, all right, fine. Then maybe, you know, you're just not paying attention because you're yawning or whatever, and maybe your shoulder hits the door jamb, and you're like, fudge, seriously? Is this the kind of day it's going to be? So now your mind is turning from this place where you were grateful to be up and ready to go to, is this the kind of day I'm going to have? And congratulations, you've just put it out to the universe, your higher power, whoever you believe in. You put it out to the ether that says this is the kind of day it's going to be. But we can turn it around. It doesn't mean every day is going to be perfect. You know, I'm not saying that bad things aren't going to happen to you in your day. But what I'm saying is how we look at it, how we present it to ourselves, and is how we can handle it and deal with it better so that it doesn't spiral to the point where it's out of control. Now, there are some things that are out of control, out of our control, and this is the other reason I wanted to do the breathing exercises, because a lot of times when people are taking care of other people, they forget to take care of themselves. Okay, and whether you're taking care of your fur babies or your family or your friends or whoever, sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves, and we need to make sure that we are taken care of, because, you know, your energy needs somewhere to go, and it's better to inhale and exhale all the BS than to just hold it inside and let it burst within you, or just, you know, and sometimes a good cry is helpful too. And you know, I'm not directing this at anybody, I swear. I was just thinking about this morning when I was talking to a friend, and I'm like, wow. I said, you know, the world could really use a big hug right now. And I thought, you know, when I was putting on my lipstick, I thought, wow, maybe we should start with breathing, because even I get a little tense a lot. I get a little tense a lot, but, and I'm dealing with my own stuff right now. So, I mean, like mentally, just trying to buckle down and understand something that I've been diagnosed with, and, you know, nothing bad, just more mental stuff. But, I mean, I think I mentioned it last week that I was diagnosed with ADHD, and I was telling older sibling that I said, I don't want to talk about it because I don't want people to think I'm using it as a crutch. I'm not. But this is the way my brain works. When I find out something new, because I spent so many years with my depression being undiagnosed and kind of ignoring my mild dyslexia in certain things, that, you know, because I thought it was stigmatized. I thought it was taboo. And I already felt stigmatized by all the stuff that happened, that I didn't want to be more stigmatized. So instead of embracing it, I ignored it. And I told her, I said, I don't want this, that for people to think I'm using this as a crutch, or that I'm looking at it as like a designer illness. Oh, everybody has it, so I got to have it too. No, this is exactly why I ignored it for so long, because I didn't want that to be the case. But now that it's officially official, I feel like I have to, you know, it's opened up a lot of different doors for me in the sense of how my brain works and how it all makes sense now. And so aside from trying not to move through the shame of ignoring it for so long because I was afraid of what other people might think of me, which I know I shouldn't, and I always say don't do that, I'm just struggling with how to manage it with my depression. My depression is managed. Okay, and I take my antidepressant every day. When it doesn't work anymore, I switch back to the other one that I'm on. I try to catch myself before I spiral. I journal every day to make sure I get it all out. I mean, yesterday's journal was, it's fucking humid, good night. It's just, but surprisingly it cooled off after that. But yes, and muddy, it is humid. It is not like Atlanta humid, but 80% for us it's melty weather. Okay, it is melty weather. So we're not, we are not houseplants. Okay, we're like we're succulents. We don't need a lot of humidity. We need water. We need to hydrate. We like rain, but we don't need humidity. We like the desert weather, the dry weather. So anyways, that being said, I think that's just why I wanted to put it out there. And like I said, I am going to talk more about ADHD because I think there's a lot of people out there that are afraid to kind of say, yeah, I got it too. Because, being neurodivergent it's nice to have a new word for it, right? But, it's nice to have a word for it. And, and it's really what ADHD, I believe falls under. I'm still doing all my research. But, I know a lot of people like me just didn't want, people to think, oh, well, they have it, so I have it. So we ignore it. But when you start reading the symptoms and everything, after somebody tells you, you're kind of like, oh, this is, wow. So I really want to make that clear, and I'll probably keep making it clear. And I don't know why. Even older siblings says, why do you feel like you need to apologize for it? And it's like, I don't know. I mean, her and I are both laughing because she's all, I think I might have it too. I'm like, you definitely have it. Just like one more thing we get to deal with. But yeah, it's not a bad thing. And I'm certainly not ashamed of it. I just, like I said, I don't want people to think that I'm using it as an excuse because it's just, I'm really trying to learn how to understand my brain because managing my depression and learning how to do so after like 20 some odd years of ignoring it and then going through a healing journey. So technically almost 30 years of not having it under control, and being able to manage it was overwhelming. And now having to add something else into the mix that kind of, spins my brain in another direction. It's kind of like, whoa, it's like a roller coaster. It's like, hang on until I can figure out how to manage it. So, yes, 80% humidity is high anywhere. That's just the morning. I think it's going to drop to like the 60s, the 60% humidity area, but mornings and nights, it gets really humid in California. I don't know why, it just does. And then it kind of steadies itself, but older sibling says it's supposed to rain sometime this week. So, I think the sky is just being a jerk. So anyways, I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, but I have a feeling that I am, and I do. Okay, and I do think it falls under the neurodivergent umbrella. I believe it does too. I agree with you. I think it does fall under there because I have a friend who talks about hers and the people I know, we talk about it in more of an educational way. And I told older sibling the reason I want to talk about it is because I think that when we do dive into it, it doesn't mean you have ADD or ADHD, but what I'm saying is that if you have a lot of the symptoms, you might want to get checked. Or just, sometimes we just self-diagnose. And it's because I think, a lot of us are. I really think a lot of us are. There were a lot of different, I don't know why. I don't know why. A lot of us are just built differently. Or we all just find our tribe, right? Because muddy, it's very possible, And like I said, older sibling wasn't diagnosed, but when we were going over the symptoms together, she's like, I think, and we're just like, I'm sorry, older sibling, I probably shouldn't have shared that. But we more laughed about it than anything, because it's like, well, that explains our conversations, how we start here and end up way over there. But yeah, so I will be doing a show on that. And I know I've spent 17 minutes not even doing this show, but here's the thing. And I want to finish this part of the show with this. It is a little bit of something, whole lot of everything. No matter what you find in your life or what you feel gets thrown at you, like, oh great, something else to deal with, because that's how I first felt. I felt, oh great, something else to deal with. But then I thought, you know what, we can talk about it on the show. And whether somebody gets officially diagnosed or self-diagnoses in a way that it's like, okay, how do I make this fit into my life, since I've been ignoring it for so long and creating all these other bad habits, from ignoring it, that I can, look at it and do this. Because I'll tell you, even though I thought, great, something new thrown into my life, when I started reading about it, I'm like, wow, a lot of this makes sense. And it actually calmed me down. It was like the computer saying, just calm down, which never works on anybody, especially women. But it actually did. It calmed me down. It was kind of like, oh. But I also have depression to worry about. And not everybody does. Some people will have both to deal with. And it's just, that's the fact of my life. And I've embraced my depression. I'm embracing this. And I'm learning how to balance it. Because sometimes they run into each other. And when they run into each other, it's very unfamiliar territory. And it can be a little overwhelming. And that's how I felt this weekend. And older sibling was like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. She's like, no, you're not. I'm like, I'm fine. No, you're not. And then I went upstairs to change my clothes, and I just burst into tears. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. So, because I was so overwhelmed. My brain was just so overwhelmed. But this time the cry was different because it made sense. So I don't want to go any more onto that, because like I said, we are gonna discuss it, and it could take 1 or 2 days to discuss the whole thing, because there is a lot to it, and not everything is going. It's not a one size fits all, lettering. Okay, there's some people who do this, there's some people who do that, there's some people who have all of it, and there's some people who only have half of it. So, but it might help make sense in a lot of things. So anyways, all right, kids, the universe has your back. Oh, thanks, Muddy. But yeah, and like I said, I said I was moving on, but like I said, I've been struggling with talking about it, because I don't want it to feel like a crutch, or I don't want it to feel like, hey, I'm on the megaphone saying I got this. I'm really, really trying to figure it out. And, it's, I don't want to say it's scary in the scary sense of the word. And it's a little upending. It's a little upending for my brain, because it's kind of like, because my brain already squirrels a lot, and now I know why. But also dealing with the world that we're dealing with right now, it just feels like, somebody strapped an anvil to all of our heads, and we're walking around going, what the actual hell? It's just kind of like, sometimes I think living in an oblivious bubble might be better, but no, because that bubble eventually gets popped. So anyways, yes, I'm looking forward to that show too, so I got to start doing a lot of research on that. But anyways, all right, let's get going. Okay, I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. Oh, this is going to be a hard one. I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. That's a toughie, because I literally had something pop into my mind. And at the same time, I'm all like, I ain't got no love for those kind of people. So, okay, well, you know what? Let's keep this simple. All right, let's keep this simple. Say you had a past relationship, whether it was a friendship, a romantic partnership, even a family relationship. Maybe things went sideways, and the relationship just fizzled and died, or just exploded in a fabulous nuclear way. A lot of people have different things that go on in their life. I guess the best example I can use is we'll talk about The Pit. Okay. Now, I know a lot of people probably haven't seen this show yet. Older sibling and I just started it last week. So far, it's about 30 episodes. We are 24 in. And, well, we're 23 in. We're 23 episodes in. So, yeah, we're a season and a half in, and then it ends at season 2 because we're still working on season 3. But there's a character on the show. And they haven't really, well, they kind of started opening up a little about, like just giving little Easter eggs and little hints here and there about their past. And they're very sarcastic. They're very kind of mean-spirited. And I told older sibling when I first saw it, it's like, either she's bitchy or there's trauma in her past, because there's always that one character, right? That's just, they kind of make a little bitchy, but they have a couple of those, and, they're the more higher ranked doctors and whatnot. And that's just their personality, right? Like but this person was just, it just, I think they think they're being nice, or they think they're being funny, and they're not. They're being hurtful. And I know this a little bit. I recognized a little bit of the old me in this person, because it sometimes is that trauma that goes unhealed, which causes what? Hurt people to hurt people. And I know a lot of people don't like that saying, because they feel like, well, I don't care if you were hurt in your past. You shouldn't treat me like shit. I think, to be honest with you, hurt people, because it's just, they have a shield up. They really, the social skills aren't necessarily lacking, but they've built this wall around themselves, and it's so fortified that nothing can really get in. And so it just kind of makes them more rigid, more angsty, more anxiety ridden, or more just like ready to pop. But I also think that when they explode, it's because they can't hold anything down anymore. And because all of their little barbs that they're throwing here and there, even when they say, I'm fine, when people say it's something wrong, I'm fine, is because they're not. They don't know how to ask for help. So they're throwing shit at people, in my opinion, because this is one of the things I did. Now, I know not everybody follows this pattern. I know not everybody is like me, but several people I know that have been through the same thing have said the same thing. I just kept throwing shit out there, hoping somebody would not let me fall through the cracks. Fortunately for me, older sibling did not. She didn't quite grab me by the hair. The figurative hair, not the literal hair. But I know sometimes she wanted to probably grab me by the hair figuratively or literally. But it's hard sometimes to reach out, because there's a lot of shame attached to certain things. There's a lot of pain, anger. So when it says, I let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love, the first thing I thought of was, oh, what happened to me as a kid? I forgave that part of my past. And I'll be honest with you, there is no love there for the perpetrators. No love. And there's no hate. There was hate for a long time, but there's no hate anymore. However, the one person I still struggle showing love to is the inner child. I still expect a lot from myself. I still expect myself, I still get rigid from time to time, and I'm trying not to do that. Older sibling has been helping me. My whole support group's been helping. Even Muddy's been helping me, in their own ways, not necessarily directly aiming their little Care Bear hearts right at my issue, but just kind of by example, showing me how to deal with things. And when I saw this card, I thought, oh, seriously? How am I going to talk about this? I can't tell people, hey, go love the bad things. No. You can show yourself love. Now, if it's something on a different level, relationships that fall apart, friendships that fall apart, family relationships that might be strained or fell apart, look at it with your eyes of love, through the eyes of love, right? Well, it says, by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love. Maybe they have something going on. You know, maybe there's a lot of pain, a lot of anger. You know, I had a friendship that fell apart, and I told older sibling, I don't think it's necessarily about me. I think there's a lot of anger that's fueling this. And because there's a lot of anger that's fueling this, and, you know, the things that they partake in, you know, media-wise, it just feeds it. It feeds it. And I was angry for a long time. I was probably angry till about a minute ago when I realized this. And I thought, you know what? Maybe I just need to pull out my little Care Bear heart and send that love that way. Even though the friendship is gone on their part, it doesn't mean I can't throw love that way. I don't have to call them. I don't have to text them. But this is the vibe I was trying to make people understand earlier. You know, if you're not sure how to send good vibes out into the world or send love out into the world, look up a Care Bear. Don't just look up the picture. Look up a video. And they have, you know, they all have little emblems, or I don't know what you call them, little, well, I guess emblems, little emblems on their tummies. And when they come together, they're a rainbow. And they just shoot out this beautiful light. Even Grumpy Bear, you know, even Grumpy Bear, yeah. Even Grumpy Bear. I know. Aren't these cute? I found them at Target for like $1. Such a child. But, and no, I'm not apologizing for that. But yeah, look at that. That's so cute. Say no. See, brain squirreling. Anyway, but yeah, even Grumpy Bear. So, I mean, this is a bit of a difficult universe has your back for me, but, you know, I am a very newbie Jungian, Carl Jung, and Jung, in case you go to look him up. First name starts with a C, last name is Jung. I believe he was Swedish. I want to say Swedish, but he talked about the shadow work. I mean, like I said, a couple years ago when I first did the shadow work show, I talked about how I thought it was like a metaphysical thing because a lot of people use it. I wouldn't, you know, I think Carl Jung kind of teetered on the edge of metaphysical. I don't know enough about him. I know I'm learning a lot more about him, just not necessarily because, you know, the metaphysical or any type of potential woo-woo aspect of him fitting into my life, but because his teachings versus Freud and that kind of psychology is actually what started to help me. When I first discovered the shadow work and decided to do a show on it, I was going through it at the same time. And I mean, I had the Floof book and everything going, yeah, you know, I have the Floof book and we're going to talk about this. And the Floof was my inner child. And I had like 3 notebooks of this stuff because it was hard for me to forgive my past, because forgiving my past, I thought meant forgiving the you know, what had happened to me. It wasn't. It was forgiving me, because when something happens when you're so young, you kind of get stuck in patterns that would not normally be a pattern that somebody would follow. You know, sometimes it is, but you know, people pleasing is a big one. Putting everybody before yourself is another. Now, yes, a lot of times that's what we do. We're human. We put people's needs in front of our own. But when you put people's needs in front of your own to fill your own cup, you're actually hurting yourself more than you are helping yourself. Because you cannot pour from an empty cup. And when the joy of whatever you've done for somebody else fades, that cup is still just going to have a little bit of, you know, residual drink in it. Liquid. That's what I'm looking for. And is still going to be very, very empty. So we have to figure out how to find that love for ourselves, how to dig deep, how to find it. But remember, we talked about the nervous system not that long ago. And even healing the trauma and healing the nervous system, they go hand in hand, but they're two separate processes. They're not the same. So fixing what's up here is not fixing what was going on internally in your central nervous system. Because you spent years and years and years buckling down. You spent years and years and years putting everybody's needs before your own. You spent years and years and years hiding whatever mental issues you may have because you didn't want to be stigmatized. And you didn't want people to make fun of you. Or if you come from, the generation that I come from, and even before, you didn't talk about it. And so your parents didn't talk about it. And so you grow up feeling kind of stigmatized. And I mean, that's literally Gen X and before. The people that raised us, we don't talk about those things. And there are some people who don't fall through the cracks, that get the help they need, but also because it was just still kind of being established as something that's potentially acceptable, you might find some quacks along the way, literal ones, okay? Which is why a lot of people don't trust psychology. And I always tell them, give it a shot. You don't have to stay with the same person. I get that intake can be a pain in the ass. But if you're willing to do the work to find the right person, you can put it out to the universe. I did. I prayed and I put it out to the universe. And the last two therapists I've had, because I was ready to heal, spot on. Exactly what I needed in that moment and that time. The last therapist I had, Gwen, I came home and Laura's all, so what do you think about her? And I'm all, well, she's blunt, she's right to the point, and she reminds me of my mom in the way that, she approaches things. And I'm all, she is exactly what I need. Because I hated every moment of it, and she is exactly what I need. Because she is putting the mirror up to my face going, Shelly Marie, who do you see? And if you see anybody else but yourself, why? And sometimes I think we forget to do that. Holding the mirror up to yourself isn't just about you taking accountability for your actions. It's taking accountability for forgetting who you are. Yesterday we talked about being your authentic self, putting your, you don't have to, like I said, you don't have to run with a megaphone down the street going, hey, I can do this, I can do that, la la la. No, but you can be true to yourself and who you are. If you need mental health help, go get it. Don't listen to anybody else. I always wonder what would have happened if I went to my dad instead of my mom. Now, I love my mom. My mom had her shortcomings, and I'm pretty sure my mom had her reasons. But she's another person. Try to see this person through the eyes of love. I've always loved my mother. Sometimes we had a difficult relationship. There were times, where she really kind of let me down when I really, really needed her. But I'm sure she had her reasons. Whether other people think they were good enough reasons or not, they'll say, well, she's your mom, she should have been there. Not everybody's equipped to handle things the way we learn how to. I sure shit wasn't equipped to handle this stuff 30 years ago. I needed guidance. But I'm also, when I look back at it, I think, okay, well, this happened for a reason because I had to go through all this stuff to make sure that this person over here, who was my age then, doesn't. And that doesn't mean I'm going to catch everybody. But if I can catch enough people and tell them, look, you know what? Don't hold on to it. Let it go. And no, it's not easy. But the longer you hold on to it, the harder it's going to be to let go. And the harder it's going to be to break those patterns. Sorry, we have the AC on, so it's like so it's kind of like, oh, my nose running. But the harder it's going to be to break those patterns, and the harder it's going to be to move away from all the bad stuff. Does it ever go away? I don't know. For me, no. It sometimes creeps up and says, hey, and I'm like, you know what? I ain't got time for you today. So crawl back into your hole and stay there, because the memories are going to come back. But the more you heal them, and the more you find your inner power, your inner child, you strengthen that inner child. Everybody has an inner child. Mine just tends to come out a lot more than everybody else is. I used to be ashamed of her. I did. But now it's kind of like, okay, I try to be a responsible adult, but also I like to have fun. I am a big kid. I collect stupid things, you know? I mean, I got this, well, these weren't in there, but I got this for my birthday from a friend, and it was just like, I'm like, oh, I just love it. I need an emotional dumpster fire. But, you know, I think right now we all do. But even the Bucky pen, yesterday I found, or over the weekend, I found a pen that looked like fireworks. We can either let things make us mad, or we can let things just kind of roll off like, you know, water rolls off a duck. And I'm still working on that. I still kind of have my little ire comes up from time to time. And I don't like it. I don't like it because it's not who I want to be. It was who I used to be. You know, because I did have so much holding in. So whoever and whatever you need to look at through the eyes of love, I would recommend it. You know, if it was something very traumatic, something very bad, and you're like, nope, don't want to revisit that person or that, you don't have to. But revisit the person you were when those things were happening, and look at that person with love. That you that went through that trauma, that you that may make you feel ashamed about certain things now, or that you that, you know, everyone was saying, don't do it. And you're like, I'm going to keep doing it because there's hope. I see it. I know it's going to change. Look at that person with love. That particular you in that particular moment of time. Because a lot of times we'll look back and say, yeah, it was stupid then. No, you probably had your reasons for a lot of the things that you did. And whatever choices you made, those were choices you made in the past. If you have found accountability and you have moved forward from it, leave it there. Because you're a new you now. You are a different you now. You are the you that is today. Not the same you that was yesterday. Not the you that's going to be tomorrow. Just today. Today's you. And if you have something you need to lay to rest in the past, let it. It was very hard for me to forgive that person because I thought, especially when I was going through my healing journey, because I thought, God, it's like instead of just, you know, trying to please my mom at the time by saying, when she says, I don't make weak babies. I only make strong babies. And so she's all, you just need to get over it. Can't get over it. It's my, it's a mental health issue, mother. But I look back now and as I'm thinking about it and talking about it with you guys, I think I see why it scared her. She had an uncle who passed away, who, as the kids would say nowadays, and I guess the more appropriate a term, is unalived himself. She thought it was over a woman. It was not. I told her, I said, even then, before I was diagnosed with depression, she told me this when I was about 17 or 18. And I said, it just flew out of my mouth. And I'm all, that's not why he did it. That was just I said, that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And she's like, well, how do you know? And I'm all, I don't know. But I was already undiagnosed by then. And I'm not smiling because it's funny. I look back at that and I think, wow, you know, if it hadn't been so stigmatized, who would I have been in my 40s? Who would I have been in my 30s? Would I have had healthy relationships? Would I have had that family that I wanted so bad? Would I have pursued all the dreams that I wanted to, you know, that I had when I was younger? Because I had more confidence in myself, because I believe in myself. See, some people either, you know, hunker down, or some people just go full 100 at it because they don't want to think about it. I'm not sure that there's a middle. There might be. I haven't met anybody from the middle part yet, but there might be. But it's difficult. You know, it's, you know, fight, flight, or freeze, right? And I think for me, I my fight was bad. It wasn't like, fight at it, let's go conquer everything. It was more like freeze and shut down. And that's what I did for a couple decades. And I kind of just turned my back on the rest of my life. And it's funny because it's 9/12. That's the day my mother passed away. And whenever I see 9/12, 7/07, or 1/21, 1/21 was her birthday, 7/07 was the time she died. I know that she's saying hi. And I'm feeling kind of sad right now, but it's not my sad. So I know, getting a little woo-woo on you guys, I can feel my mom. And I feel like she's listening, going, oops, but I don't want her to feel that way. Because like I said, for me, as much as I hated this term when I was growing up, everything happens for a reason, especially when you lose people, right? You don't want to hear that. Don't ever say any of that to anybody when they lose somebody. Well, everything happens for a reason. No, it's all God's plan. No, stop. I don't care how well-meaning you are. That does not help. Okay? Or they're in a better place. No, just don't. Maybe down the road, do it. But not when it first happens. But now I understand that everything does happen for a reason. And I'm not saying that her passing away. I'm saying whatever scared her to let me down 2 times in my life when I needed her the most. The only 2 times I've never really been able to forgive her for. I think I understand now. There's going to be some heavy journaling today. And I see her now through, oh, look at that. I'm starting to get chills, which means it's getting better. I forgive her. And I see her through for the first time with the eyes of love. Not the eyes of anger, not the eyes of, why did you let me down? How come you did this? I really needed you. I'm looking at her through the eyes of love, knowing that something must have hurt her so bad that she couldn't deal with this. That losing her uncle, who unalived himself, was difficult for her. And that she was probably afraid that her only child was going to follow the same path. Now, I can't say that, because he unalived himself with a firearm. All right, so I know. And I'm not going to say I hadn't been close. I came very close to doing that, not with a firearm, which is why I can't own one, because even though I know I'm managed, I don't want to take that chance. I don't want to give myself any reasons, because it only takes one moment. But yeah, I'm not going to say I haven't teetered on that edge, because I have several times. But something always stepped in to stop me. And I'm grateful for that, because it's not my time yet. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm feeling a little emotionally overwhelmed right now, because I spent so many years being angry at my mom that now that I'm seeing her through a different lens because of this card, I'm sorry. I don't know why I'm so emotional. It feels different. And I think it's because I just let it all go. I think by acknowledging that I love her and that she had her reasons, and that for whatever reason it was still my responsibility to take care of myself, I just always wanted to make my mom proud. And so that's why I ignored my depression and said, okay, I'm just going to deal with it. Until older sibling came along and said, we're going to do this together. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be, you did nothing wrong. This is just what happens to some people. I found a person that understood what I was going through. And they took me by the hand, and God bless her, because I put her through hell. I put her through hell for a long time. Very, very long time. But she never let go. She never let go. And sorry, I don't mean to go woo woo, because this it's not yesterday's show, but older sibling, mom is saying thank you for not quitting on me. But I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm crying. I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's not a sad cry. It's emotionally overwhelming in a good way, because I don't understand why my mom was like that, but I look back at our relationship and how we struggled sometimes, but how I just have this overwhelming love for my mother right now. And I mean, we had a very good relationship the last 20 years of her life. Like I said, growing up, it wasn't like horrible. It wasn't horrible. My mom was always a very good mother, but sometimes she went rogue. Not rogue in a bad way, just kind of like, just expected so much more of me than anybody else. Very Asian mother. Very Asian mother, born in Hawaii, but with Asian in the background. But, older sibling says, please tell her thank you for being such a good mom to both of us. She says, you're welcome. And she's like, of course. She's like, you're my girls. Thank you, Muddy. I love you too. And I'm sorry, guys. I didn't mean to get emotional there, but, she's gone now. But yeah, it was like, wow. And I think this is why this card came up. I think this is why it's saying the universe has your back, because it's saying if you can go back to a moment in time where you just felt so hurt, you don't necessarily have to forgive the person that hurt you. I'm not telling anyone to forgive the person that hurt you, but you gotta let them go. Don't hang on to that pain or that anger. You don't have to forgive them. Let them go. And you may not necessarily need to forgive yourself, because they're all like, well, I need to forgive myself then. No, you need to love yourself. You need to go in to whoever that is inside of you that is hurting, that is in pain, and just tell them it's going to be okay. You are safe now. We are safe now. And remind that person inside that you love them. That whatever happened in the past, was just something that got away from you. And that you need to stop shaming yourself. You need to stop being angry with yourself. You need to stop punishing yourself, which is where a lot of that shame and that anger comes from. There were choices I made when I was younger that I punished myself for decades because my mom couldn't forgive me. So how could I forgive myself? Until I realized I didn't need her forgiveness. I needed my own. The choice I made was the right one that I made for the time that it was for me. It wasn't selfish. It wasn't self-motivated. It was a choice that I made, and mostly because I was talked into the choice, and I'm not going to put all this blame on myself. But I was talked into making a choice that I didn't necessarily agree with. But ultimately in the end. And I had to let go of that shame. I had to let go of that anger. Because when I look back at it and I look back at who I became and all the struggles I had healing my own journey, I know now that even though I broke a cycle. And it's difficult because you pay for it later in life. But I'm not smiling because I'm happy about the choice I made. I'm smiling because I'm realizing that there's just so much that I think we hold ourselves responsible for. Moments that we can't get back. Moments that maybe we feel like we're being punished for now when we're not. I may not be a mom, but I'm an auntie to the world. You need an auntie? I'm someone's feral aunt. All right. And I got the shirt to prove it. I did. I got the shirt, you guys. I got a yellow one though, because it was a lot more colorful on the back. So not exactly my color, but I'm sure I'll look okay in yellow. But yeah, it says somebody's feral aunt on the back, which is not a lie. My nephews would agree. My nephews would agree. Yeah, they're all like, Auntie Shelley was like, why are you, one of my nephews actually asked me, Auntie Shelley, why are you so weird? And I'm not weird and fun. And they're like, okay. But also a brand new teenager, so it's kind of like, okay. But the other one's just like, she's not weird. Auntie Shelley's fun. And I'm like, well, I said, I do admit, I said, I am a little weird. But I said, would you want anybody different? And they're like, no. So I'm gonna embrace your weird, kid, because we're all a little strange in our own ways. But yeah, but I mean, and that was a lesson for me too, because I was like, okay, am I a bit much? And I'm like, no, I'm just enough me. Sometimes I might be a bit much, but I'm just enough me for everybody. So anyways, however you choose to let go of the shadow of the past by seeing someone for the first time with the eyes of love, if you need to, journal it. If you feel like it's going to cause you to spiral, take it slowly. Take it one moment at a time. All right? You don't need to go all in. I'm going all in because my healing journey is a lot different than a lot of people's, because I finished that part. But there are some things that are still there's still some loose ends that are tying themselves up. I know, Muddy liked this card. It is pretty. And it's kind of funny because I was going for the purple eyeshadow today, and I only really got this color because I thought, I'm too lazy. I don't feel like doing it. I'm just going to go for a little bit. So I must have known. My third eye. I know. Got to end it with humor, right? You got to end it with a little bit of humor. Even face your past with a little bit of humor. What happened to you, whatever happened to you, whatever caused the explosion in your relationships or whatever, to just part badly or, however, or just walk away or whatever. I don't mean look at it like with humor, haha. Look at it with, oh, yeah, I was a totally different person back then. But most importantly, and I ask you this with all my heart, from the bottom of my soul, stop shaming yourself and let go of the anger you have with you. The world needs your beauty and your awesomeness. The world needs your light and your energy. The world wants you to awaken and put these wonderful things out there and just be you. I shrunk myself into other people's boxes for so long. And we talked about this yesterday, that I just don't want to do it anymore. The people who will love you and the people who will care about you and the people who are meant to be in your life will find you. And like I said, that doesn't mean you have to go out there with a megaphone and go, hey, I can do this. If it comes out, it comes out. It doesn't mean you have to go in there and sit there at a dinner table going, oh yeah, by the way, change the subject. Did you know I can blah, blah, blah? No. Just be yourself. Yes, we can be excited about the things we're capable of. Yes, we can be excited when, like yesterday's show, it just poofs, happens. But, or even today with my mom visiting, whether people believe it or not. If you don't believe it, it's okay. I'm not forcing you to. You can think I'm nuts, you can think I'm whatever. All right. But that's my belief. And I'm not going to push it on anyone else. I can't help it when they come through. When they come through, it's so overwhelming. I have to get the message out or they will not go away. Not that I want them to go away, but they won't step back. So it's kind of like frazzle energy. Because it's, I am already very high energy and it just kind of mixes with mine, goes, I need to smooth this out. But I guess the simplest way to put this is be yourself. Be authentic. And most importantly, be kind to yourself and show yourself some grace and some love. For whatever choices you made in the past, you can't change them, but you can go forward and try to move through it the best that you can. We can't change what happened, but we can change how we go forward. And I think that's the most important part, is being able to navigate the rest of our lives with some grace and compassion. So whoever out there needs to heal their inner floof, now's the time. Now's the time to start. And like I said, I just want to finish this show with this. If you struggle in any sort of way, please, please, please seek professional help when you're doing the healing journey. Or if you can't afford it, there are people who work on a sliding scale. There are support groups of these things. Also, or just have a very strong support group that will tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. But tell them, look, you know what? I'm going through something. I might be struggling. If you see me struggling, ask me these 2 questions. Do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? Or do you want me to tell you what you need to hear? A lot of times when I ask that question, I get both. And I'll ask them, what do you want me to start with? What do you want me to start with? And it's not because I know everything. It's because a lot of times when you find these people that come to you and ask you for help, it's because they know you have been through something similar, or they know you're going to listen and not bullshit them. Healing does not require people bullshitting you. Healing requires someone sitting there with you going, hey, I know it's hard to face this, but the only way out is through. And sometimes they just need you to say, you know what, I'm struggling a little bit. Well, let's just sit in this moment then. We don't need to do anything else but sit in this moment. Just right now, right here, while you find your center again. Okay? But don't do it alone. It's for some people it might be an easy journey. For some people it may not. But don't do it alone. All right? So, I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day. I'll see you back here tomorrow, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time, Facebook Live. All lives are public under Shelley Marie Lucas. Anybody can watch. I also spread it across the social media universe, except Instagram. Still haven't figured that one out. But I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really tried that hard to figure it out, but I still haven't figured that one out. But you can't find me on TikTok. That seems to be where all the kids go nowadays anyway. So anyway. I live on YouTube, but yeah, people go to TikTok, so there you go. All right. Have a great day. Muddy, older sibling, thank you. Muddy, I love you so much, and I hope things get sorted. So, an older sibling, hope you feel better. She's in a flare, so this is the other reason why we need to just send out great energy to everybody out there today, okay? Have a great day, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you for watching.